I really like St. Charles Borromeo because his uncle was a corrupt pope. He wasn't the worst. We've had worse, but he wasn't a great pope. And here he goes, and he makes his nephew a cardinal. And you think, oh boy, nepotism here. He's not going to be any good. And he turns out to be wonderfully, wonderfully holy and inspired. It gives us hope. We read in our gospel today that we really need to sit down and figure out whether we can do something before we start. I think we really need to balance that off with what St. Paul says. St. Paul speaking to the Philippians, and this continues from what we had yesterday, where St. Paul told us to have the mind of Christ and to empty ourselves and to become obedient even unto death on the cross, the way Jesus did. So St. Paul says, my beloved, obedient as you have always been, work out your salvation with fear and trembling. So we need to work at this. This is not as if we simply say, I believe in Jesus, or I say, I go to church on Sunday and I'm covered. We need to work out our salvation. We need to ask God, what is he calling us to? We need to struggle sometimes with ourselves. Sometimes we need to struggle with other people that we come into contact with to help them to get to heaven, because that's part of the good work that God wants for us. Our church is called One Holy Catholic and Apostolic, and that apostolic means that we are sent out. It means that we are a missionary church. Even if you don't leave Highland Mills or the local area here, we are still missionaries. Sometimes in our own family, sometimes in our own home, sometimes in our neighborhoods. But we are always called to be doing this good work. And so there are times it will be with fear and trembling. For God is the one, for his good purpose, works in you both to desire and to work. Isn't that great? That's the good news. Before you decide that you want to pray or that you want to be good, God is already giving you the grace to desire it. And he's not going to leave you hanging. Now, if you pray for the lottery, you might get left hanging. All right? That's not a desire from God. So it doesn't mean that every desire we have is good. When St. Paul says that we need to work this out with fear and trembling, we need to think and pray. We need to discern, what is it that God is calling me to? Because if God is calling me to do something, he's going to work through me. He's going to work through you to bring that about. We could never even want this on our own without his grace. And we certainly couldn't do his good works. It's on the very most basic level, it's our faith. It's our response to his grace. It's our response to that desire. And so you want to be careful about this. Sometimes people say, I wish that I could pray 3 hours a day. And I can't, and so I feel bad about that. And what we end up doing is we poison that desire. Whereas, if we say, boy, I wish I could pray for 3 hours, but what I can give God right now is 2 minutes or 3 minutes. Because now I am acknowledging that God gave me this desire, and I'm responding yes. Better to thank God for the desire and respond yes, even if I can't spend 3 hours. But in doing that, I've said yes. I've cooperated with God. I've acknowledged that his work is the one that is giving the desire and to work. He's working through me. So when we go back over to Jesus speaking to the people, when I was younger, I used to say, all right, well, don't set your goals too high, because you don't want to be like the guy who built the tower and it fell down, or you don't want to be like the king. Jesus isn't saying this so that we will be timid. Jesus is saying this so that we will be bold, but that we will understand what it entails. God wants you to do great things. And they will start within whatever you're doing now, unless that's a sin. And the more we cooperate with his grace, the more we're going to be able to look at a situation and say, wow, maybe with 10,000 troops, I can oppose somebody with 20,000 troops. Because it's God at work. God wants each and every one of us to be an instrument of his grace in the world, to be his light shining into places where there is darkness. So it's a wonderful challenge, it's a wonderful gift, and it's God who's doing it.